Hey dudes, welcome back. I just turned this into this. That's right, I just bought myself a 2012, a 9-year-old camera for 100 euros. Let's get into it. So I know that the burning question on your minds is, why, mate? Why did you buy a camera that doesn't shoot slow motion? It's got bad rolling shutter. It's got an insane crop factor. It's got poor ISO, fixed noise pattern, black hole sun problem. It's got poor ergonomics. And the screen on the back is like a mirror. Look at it. It's just terrible. But in all honesty, I own one of these. And this is a brilliant camera, this Pocket 4K. I owned one of these back in 2012 when they were first released. And as Grant Petty said, this is designed to be a film camera. Back then, when this was released, a lot of the cameras didn't have the functionality that these Pocket 4K cameras did. Unless you were buying into a system from Canon, Sony, Arri, or Red. In fact, it was only really Arri and Red and Panasonic and Sony that would give you much higher end specs, that would give you slow motion, high bit rate, and possibly RAW. But the amount of money that you had to spend to get into those systems was well into the six figures. Whereas this camera came out with a copy of Resolve. It shoots RAW at 2.5K, and it was only $3,000 at time of launch. But now, 9 years on, these are a true bargain to be had. I mean, I've picked up mine. The guy thought it didn't power up. I bought it for the $100 that he asked. I got a couple of accessories with it. And I came home and I plugged it into the power point with the charger, and nothing happened. So I plugged it into one of my V-Locks and charged it from that, and the camera powered up. So what it meant was the poor guy that sold it to me thought his camera wasn't working because his wall charger had blown. So I've got a camera that doesn't have a wall charger, but hey, it's $100 and it works. It does have a couple of problems, like it's got the back focus issue, so it doesn't focus to infinity. It doesn't have HDMI out, so I can't use things like my Ninja 5 or even a Blackmagic Video Assist, but it does have a professional SDI out, which means that I can use one of my higher grade monitors so that I can hopefully replace my EOS R here, which only shoots 1080p 8-bit for the wide angle view that I have here with this camera. Now you might be saying, hey, you're going to get that wide angle, you've got an EF mount. Well, you should have gone with the Micro Four Thirds mount. And look, I would agree with you back in 2012, but now there's a guy that's selling a drop-in, what he's calling a Magic Booster, and it just goes straight into here. And I think I'm going to pick one of those up. They're $399, which would mean that the total cost of this camera has cost me less than 500 euros. It shoots 2.5K RAW. The picture out of it is insane. It's always been good. And because Resolve has made massive leaps forward since this came out, now when I take the footage into Resolve, it looks incredible. Like the footage coming out of this is as good as this. It's just that this is 4K and this is 2.5K. But for the delivery of stuff that I'm doing online, it only needs to be in 1080. So having a 4K or an 8K R5, most of it's all going down to 1080 timeline and then being re-exported either in 4K or 1080p or 10K. So yeah, this is an incredible buy. I mean, it came with an SSD, so all I need to do is pop the SSD in and power it up, and away I go. I'm really happy that I found one with the EF mount. I mean, I really was looking for a Micro Four Thirds mount, but they're so rare. They're so rare, and they actually cost more. And you can only use dumb lenses on them. So it's manual only with the Micro Four Thirds mount, but you do get the speed booster. But as I was saying, if you speed boost this, you actually get the same field of view as what you would with the Metabones on a Micro Four Thirds mount. Plus you get pass-through of data or lens stabilization, and you can also use it to, hit the focus button to get something in focus. It still does have a problem where some EF lenses don't register the iris, and when you click them on, it just goes to like f32 or f22. It's really annoying. And Blackmagic Design never fixed the problem in the camera, and they probably didn't fix it in the production 4K either. They have fixed it in, with this camera. This camera doesn't have any of those problems. And and it's going through an adapter, a Viltrox adapter. But this one does. You know, it's just something to live with. And as long as I have my wide angle lens that I can use with it, I'll be really happy. This camera doesn't overheat. It cost $100. And if I really want, I could probably put it on my gimbal and get some really cool looking shots. Blackmagic 2.5K 2021, is it worth buying? My answer would be, if you can pick one up as cheaply as what I did, or even up to $500 US for the camera, I would say that bang for buck for using as a studio camera, it's still probably one of the best cameras you can buy, because I think the cheapest camera that shoots RAW is probably this camera here, or maybe an Ecamm, and they're still over $1,000, and you need to accessorize them if you're not using Micro Four Thirds lenses. If you're like me and you've got all your lenses are Canon, then you're going to have to accessorize it, you know, with a speed booster and stuff like that. So for $500, you should be able to pick up one of these, drop a Luke adapter in it, fix the field of view, which will fix the micro jitters and the rolling shutter issues with the camera, and obviously the field of view at, you know, I think it takes it from a 2.4 crop or a 2.6 crop down to a 1.4 crop, something around there on this version. And the good thing is if you ever wanted to shift from this camera to like a production 4K in the future, if you have a little bit more money, but you want to stick with this form factor, because it is pretty good in the hand, I must admit, it's a very good camera to use. It's got very good tools inside. The menu system's like an Alexa. It's very simple to use. And it's just good for talking content. So is this worth it in 2021 as a $500 investment? Absolutely. The footage in post now looks insane. It's easily adaptable to fix the problems. All the audio interface is easily fixed. Yes, it doesn't have great audio internally through the preamps. Neither does the Canon EOS R. I use a Rode Podcaster setup. A lot of other people will use things like a Zoom or something like that. But, you know, this camera was designed for dual purpose recording. It was never designed to have great preamps. They're only ever meant to be for scratch audio. And I'm lucky that because I have invested into a proper professional audio recording system, that I can actually just use that to my benefit to use a older camera and to get more life out of it, and potentially save an EOS R as an animation camera or a stills camera. Because look, if I need to shoot slow motion, I've got this. And if I need to shoot higher res slow motion, I've got my R5. So happy days. Blackmagic 2.5K, the OG. The originator that started us all off on this journey with Blackmagic design. So if you're out there and you're a Blackmagic design user, the value that you get out of these two cameras opposed to a DSLR or a mirrorless camera from a Sony at the equivalent kind of price point, it just doesn't compare. These cameras are much better. The codecs are better. They're more robust. I haven't owned one in a long time. I'm just excited that I've got it, and I'll be posting some videos in the future about it, so stay tuned if you're into this sort of thing. With that, guys, drop a comment down below if you like these cameras, and if you do, let me know what you'd like to see. If you've got any questions about buying used equipment, let me know. I'll answer in the comments below. And that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next one.